All right, sit a while and listen. Welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a video. Um, been a little busy with life and just life in general, I guess. Um, Took a few weeks off. Finally had a chance to get back to playing some D3, and did not want to play my my wizard. Didn't want to play my demon hunter. I wanted to try something new during season 28 before it ran out. So I decided to play a monk, and so um, this is going to be my version of the Inna's Mantra monk build. Um, I started out with a justice-based monk because that was the armor that dropped first once I hit level 70. Um, did your standard variations here of this build. Um, One using the cooldown reduction, one just using the standard, and it was fun up until the Inna's monk stuff started dropping here. Sorry, excuse me. So once I got enough pieces, I put a set together. I got two different versions. One's a fire-based version. One is a cold-based version, using the water ally. The fire, of course, uses the fire ally. Um, and so I'm just going to go over the setup in general, um, and then I'll do a quick demonstration of how it works. So basically, I'm using the Inna's Mantra set. I've got six pieces of it, so we're wearing the head, the chest, the pants, the feet, the hands, and then I'm using the staff that goes along with the set. That gives me my full six-piece bonus here. Um, you can go ahead and read those. Pause the video if you want to read what they do. Um, I was lucky to find this pair of Primal Ancient pants for him, so that was awesome. I mixed that in combination with two pieces of the Sun Wuko set because with the Sun Wuko set, the two-piece set, if you have Sweeping Wind going, it lowers your damage by 50% while Sweeping Wind is active. So I combo that with the Kiyoshiro Soul belt that gives me a consistent two stacks when I'm not doing damage. So that way there I'm always at three stacks, right? This keeps the Sun Wuko 50% damage reduction buff going at all times. Um, and so I use those in combination with, of course, the lesser bindings as the bracers here, so that when I hit enemies with my Cyclone Strike, it damages them with my allies with 157% increase. And then it's triple that if you're using the Fire Ally. Um, I like the Fire Ally, it works great, but it's a timing issue thing. The Water Ally creates waves. You'll see that when I play it. And those waves kind of pretty much just follow you along. Uh, every now and then splitting off if there's an enemy off to the flank of you or something. Whereas the Fire Allies, I don't know that I kind of feel like they go randomly anywhere. Um, and so you have to pop them at just the right time when you're fighting, an elite of any kind in order to then get the cyclone damage hit, and then you pop them and they explode on the elite and killing them. And it's a matter of timing. And I don't want to worry about the timing usually. So I like the water ally because it's just the waves constant. I can hold down my one, two, and three keys, um, and then just hit with Cyclone Strike occasionally, and the Water Ally Waves does all the damage for me. So this is the armor that I'm wearing. I wear the Focus and Restraint, of course, for that 125% increase there that we get. Um, I combo that with the Messerschmitt's Reaver for cooldown reduction as the cubed weapon, the crudest boots, so that I start off with two monks. Um, when I attack, the monks will start doubling. Um, you can only get a maximum of 10 monks plus the one extra from the crudest boots, technically 11. And then, of course, they each deal a 200% increased damage, right? So I combo that then with the Squirts necklace for the 100% damage increase that we get there. Um, and I don't worry about the 50% damage taken because I'm getting a huge buff with the combo of the Sun Wuko and Kyoshiro, and then of course the Epiphany Desert Shroud. This one reduces my damage by 50%. Right now I'm using Tempest Rush. I'm about to change that. I think I'm going to go with the Way of the Hundred Fists. Um, but I'll go over the keys real quick here. I put Sweeping Wind, Inner Storm on my number one key. That is with the fire-based build. If I'm doing the cold-based build, I'm using the Master of Wind so that whenever I'm running up on enemies, it's freezing them, stunning them, and then the waves of the water allies are also stunning them and freezing them. And so then that's where I get my Relentless Assault buff of 20% increased damage for blind, frozen, or stun. You're freezing them with the allies, you're freezing them with the sweeping wind. You're guaranteed getting that 20% buff pretty continuous. Um, right now, like I said, my main attack is Tempest Rush, Northern Breeze, because it's cold damage, you know, or sorry, it's holy damage, and it's only 25 spirit. So you know, it's just something to constantly attack with, so I could just run and gun attack. With the Way of the Hundred Fist, I'm going to have to change up the style of play, but I want to see if it does any more damage, so we'll do both of them. But let's just go over the keys real quick. The number one key, I got my Monk, so he's always splitting apart. Number two, Serenity, and number three, the Epiphany Desert Shroud. I'm going to hold those keys down the entire time I'm playing, in conjunction with my spacebar, which then allows me to use my mouse to constantly do the Tempest Rush attacking. And then periodically, I'm going to use Cyclone Strike. So that pretty much just keeps damage going of some kind, some way. You'll see how it plays. I know it seems a little weird, but it works. The passives, real quick, again, I already mentioned Relentless Assault. I'm using the Guardian's Path because I'm using a Daibo, so I get the 15% increase for Spirit Generation. I'm using Unity because every ally affected by my mantras increases my damage by 5%, up to a max of 20%, and they have 5% increased damage as well, whoever the allies are. So, of course, Mystic allies are just that, allies. They're also pets, which is why I'm using the Enforcer gem, because as that gets higher in the levels, they're going to do increased damage. Right now, they're doing a 25.5% increase to damage. So the Unity here and the Enforcer gem really work nice. Beacon of Vitar is just to reduce cooldowns. I want to get my cooldowns down as much as possible so that every time I launch a Cyclone Strike, sorry, the Mystic Ally refreshes, Serenity refreshes, and so does Epiphany. And so they're pretty much constantly up all the time, which is really, really nice. Especially if I constantly attack stuff. So outside of that, the only other gems I'm taking, of course, is Bane of the Trap. You take that with anything because once you get it up over level 25, it procs itself, and then you get whatever percentage of damage increase based upon the level of the gem. And of course, Taeguk I'm taking, or Taeguk, depending on how they want to pronounce it. That again, 2% increased armor for every stack, up to 10 stacks. So that's 20% damage reduction. And then depending on your level, I'm almost at 5%. You know, I'm going to get roughly a, 46% damage increase, right? So that's why I'm using the Tempest Rush, is so that I can get the Taeguk damage increase. Um, because Tempest Rush, of course, is a oh, what do you call it? Channeling effect. So whenever you channel, that's when Taiguk kicks in. So I have to use Tempest Rush in order to get that Taiguk benefit. If I don't take Taiguk, then I have to swap that out and go with Bane of the Stricken if I'm going to go with the Way of the Hundred Fist style. So I may switch those up here in a bit, but I'm just going to show you basically my fire based build. It's pretty much the exact same build, same play style, with exception to if I equip it, you'll see the monk is now fire based, and I'm using the inner storm sweeping wind in order to keep my spirit up, because the fire monk doesn't kill things, in my opinion, at least as consistently enough and fast enough to give me my cooldowns based on Messerschmitts. Messerschmitts, your cooldown is reduced by killing stuff. So it's not just hitting stuff, you got to kill it. So every time I kill something, Messerschmitts reduces the cooldown. So I need to be able to kill stuff fast enough that Epiphany and Mystic Ally will trigger fast enough to refill my spirit. Because keep in mind, with the 6-piece bonus of the Inna's Mantra, you gain the base effect of all 4 mantras at all times, one of them which helps with spirit generation. But then you also get the passive abilities of the 5 runed mystic allies at all times. So the different allies, as we can go over them, excuse me, water ally, of course, it freezes the enemy and slows them down. It's cold based. Fire ally explodes for 1900 weapons damage, and he increases your damage by 10%. Air ally is what helps with your spirit regeneration, so you get that passive ability of 4 spirit per second, right? And then, of course, enduring ally is basically life regeneration. So you're getting what? I'm getting 10,728 life per second, and then it's increased by 7% of my life per second. So it's life is just constantly rebuilding. And then, of course, Earth ally increases your overall life by 20%. So, we're getting all those passive abilities, but then I'm taking the fire ally specifically. It doesn't cancel anything out, just to get the triple fire attack bonus from the lesser bindings. I'm using Serenity Ascension, of course, because it makes me immune to attacks for 4 seconds. And like I said, with the Messerschmitt's cooldown thing, that's always getting triggered. So I'm always getting that damage reduction from that. Inner Storm, that's the one that, of course, helps you with your spirit regeneration. So as long as we're at 3 or more, we're gaining 8 spirit per second, right? So we don't run out of spirit a whole lot. With Master of Wind, you tend to run out of spirit a little bit. But when the Epiphany kicks in, which also regenerates your spirit by 20, right? And then, of course, your Mystic Ally kicking in, running the water-based version, this pretty much keeps your spirit filled at all times. So I'm going to go back and load up my water-based one. And then let's just go run a Greater Rift. So I'm running Greater Rift 90s right now, mostly because my gems are still pretty low. But he does really, really well. So I'm going to get the Sweeping Wind going. We got our 3 stacks. 1, 2, and 3 are held down. And then boom. I'm just going to start running around. And I'm going to start getting the Taiguk going. Get him built up. And then our damage is just going to go wee. So we're just going to sit here and we're just going to destroy things. And as you can see, Epiphany is already refreshed. Mystic Ally is refreshing. As you can see, I'm taking out this guy. Not a whole lot of problems there, right? Non-elites, they pretty much just drop fairly decent. Again, the gems I'm using are going to make this even more powerful as I get the gems leveled up higher and higher. It's just a matter of playing over and over and over. So as you can see, I just kind of run through and start destroying everything. Now I'm already ahead of the curve here. This is again a level 90 Greater Rift. I haven't touched any pylons yet. I don't plan on touching any pylons. And I'm going to try to avoid using any health potions if I can, just to run through this and show you how well it does without taking advantage of the pylons. So we're already way ahead of the bar. I'm sure if I would have hit that pylon back there, because I am wearing the bracers on my follower, that, you know, I would have gotten an elite to spawn, and then I'd be moving a little faster. But I'm trying to demonstrate the power of the build itself as it stands with its own buffs and no extra buffs. So as we see here, he just kind of goes through and destroys everything. If you're liking what you're seeing on a Greater Rift 90, you should really see it in a T16. It's great for speed farming. You just kind of run around and kill everything. As you see, those elites went down with no issues. We're already halfway done, so I just need to find some more elites. Boom. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep the water allies in their wave form at all times and let them just do their area damage that they do. They pretty much crush everything. And then when I get to the elites is where I start using the Cyclone Strike, right? Because at that point, I hit the Cyclone Strike right on the elite. The water guys do their thing, and they destroy it. Well, like I said, when I get the Pets gem up higher, that's just going to increase the damage that much more, making it a more overall effective build. I think using the Way of the 100 Fists, Assimilation, I think it's called, that increases your damage with every attack, would also be a good variant of the build. But then again, you have to give up the Taiguk, and you have to take something like Stricken, where you get a 2% increase with every attack, as long as you're attacking the same enemy. I think that could make this a really good elites killer if you're just hunting down the elites and not wasting any time on trash mobs. But I don't think it's going to do as well with the trash mobs, simply because you have to attack the same target continuously to get the stricken stacks to work right. And I'm not, I don't know. The way the waves work on the water ally, you may still be able to get the stricken stacks because they're just constantly waving on the same enemies at all times. And I don't know if they contribute towards stricken stacks or not. Maybe if anybody else knows, they can answer that question. But as you can see, we've pretty much already finished this rift, right? I'm going to pop. I got my epiphany, so I'm protected. And he's just going down. Didn't even get a chance to attack. I was keeping him frozen the whole time. So completed that in 10 minutes, with 10 minutes and 23 seconds remaining. So we're talking just shy of 5 minutes overall. Like I said, I think I can go through it faster if I get the gems up higher. With the increased gems, the more damage this build's going to do. So right now, I'm working on increasing the Enforcer gem to get it as high as I possibly can, and get as big a damage bonus out of it as I can. Eventually, I'm going to get them all up to the same level 66, and then I'll level all 3 of those gems up as high as I possibly can. We'll go ahead and I'll switch over to the fire build. You'll see that the fire build works very, very similar. So let me close this rift out. Make a little bit of room in my stash here. I don't expect to gather up too much more stuff. Now, another thing to notice, while I do have a primal pair of pants on, and I am wearing ancient Bastions of Will rings, as well as an ancient Daibo, none of these are augmented, right? So I have plenty of petrified screams to then go do the Echoing Nightmare and get the 125 level gem that I could then use to augment and put like 625 or 650 dexterity on all of my equipment or whatever. I have not done that yet. I am waiting until I get more ancient items. So I don't have an ancient set of hands. I do have an ancient chest though. I need an ancient helm. I need this to be ancient. This needs to be ancient, right? I need to get more ancient stuff. At which point in time, then I can go ahead and why did that not switch? Those are supposed to be mystic. Fire. All right, let's try that again. There's the water, boom. Now we're gonna put fire. There we go. Not sure what was going on there. So again, level 90. We'll get in here. I'm gonna get my sweeping wind going, let it get up to 3 stacks. Get the serenity going, split these guys, and then let's run. So I'm going to hit them all with the Cyclone Strike, suck them in, and then I got to wait on the monks to refresh, and then they pop. So I got to kind of stay there attacking a little bit longer, and then they'll pop and damage it. So I don't feel like this one damages them as fast as it could because of the way the monk fire ally works. You have to wait for him to split. So I have to wait for him to time out. Then I have to refresh. And I don't know. I don't feel like it works as well. I'm still ahead of the curve, obviously, right? So it's still killing stuff. But I think it's better with the water. It's more consistent with the water. There was a point in time where you used the fire ally and all you had to do was hit people with Cyclone Strike. You didn't have to worry about it popping or anything. You just hit them with the Cyclone Strike and then you could run past and the fire allies would just continuously attack and explode. And you get something like that effect right there that just happened. It doesn't seem to work as well as it used to. I don't know what kind of nerfing they did to it. But I'm disappointed by it. It still works fairly well. It just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to hit these guys, get my fire monks going, and then they're going to pop that. Again, I'm not using any health potions, trying to avoid that. And I'm also not using any of the pylons, trying to avoid that, to just show the abilities of the monk as he is with the build the way it is. Now see, the freezing cold would have been nice here, but as you can see with these fire monks, in order to get that triple damage bonus, I have to launch the Cyclone Strike more often. And in doing so, that uses up a lot more of the spirit at any one given time. So what I have to do is run with the sand sweeping wind in order to generate more spirit more often. But he still works pretty well. Like I said, I like the water version better. I might try an earth-based version, um, because they roll the rocks. The allies, the mystic allies, turn into rocks and roll around. Um, and so, I think it might work as well as the water version does. Um, we'll have to see. But I just think this is a really fun monk build to play because it's just basically run and gun, right? You just run around, hit everything. The more you hit, and you can see I got all those little fire guys going. And as I just run through and hit everybody, I create more. And then when they pop, they explode. They just damage everything. There we go. They're going to pop. Boom. All right, we're getting there. The water would have just wiped them out already by now. Suck them all in. Also, you notice I have to stay on top of them more with the fire, so I actually take damage. My health rebuilds really, really fast, which is nice, but I'm taking damage to begin with, which is something that doesn't happen when I'm using a water ally. And that's because of the freezing effect of the water ally. It's able to freeze them in place. They can't get any attacks off, and I can just run around and destroy everything. Another benefit of the freezing. The water, it just overall is the better version, in my personal opinion. The fire may have higher damage, but the water is more consistent with its damage and therefore allows you to play more smoothly. All right, let's go kill this guy. All right, let's get in there. We hit him. Get him going. Fire allies just pop. Nearly killed him. There we go. He's dead. So here, Daddy, we had 8 minutes and 28 seconds remaining. So took a little bit longer to get through with this version compared to the water version. Water is definitely the way to go for this particular build. So we'll just gather up our stuff here. Go level our gem. And then go back to town. So now we're up to 27% increase in damage. And it looks like we got some nice stuff to play with. So we'll see how that goes. So, all right, there you go. There you have it. There's the builds. Again, there's a fire variation and then there's a water variation. I personally prefer the water variation. Maybe give the earth version a try for the Mystic Allies. I think that makes him a little bit more defensive. I'm not sure if when they're rolling as boulders, if it causes stunning or not for the allies, to where, you'll get your stun buffs. But the water definitely does with all the waves. So I recommend trying that. And then maybe play around a little bit. I think I'm also going to try playing around a little bit. I'm gonna switch up from Tempest Rush to Way of the Hundred Fists Assimilation, and then I'm going to change out that Taiguk, and I will probably either go with, I don't know, I'll either go with the Bane of the Stricken, or I may go with the Power. Because once you kill that first elite, then you're going to get that steady, consistent 20% increased damage. And as you can see, mine's up high enough that it's going to last me 147 seconds, right? So um, we're talking well over 2 minutes, which gives me more than enough time to go kill another elite and then just keep that buff constantly going. And then, of course, I get a 15% increased damage against elites and reduced damage from elites using that. So I don't know. Maybe Way of the Hundred Fists with Assimilation, um, and then going with Bane of the Powerful might be a better overall balance to get through the rift fast enough to get to the Guardian and then have enough time to defeat the Guardian. Of course, Bane of the Stricken would help with the Guardian. Um, but there's also things like the pain enhancer, right? You get your pain enhancer up high enough. Here, critical hits are going to cause, 8,700% weapons damage is physical. Um, so, and then I get the blood frenzy, which gives me the increased attack speed. So maybe even using that one. I don't know. Play around a bit with the build. Give me your thoughts on it. Come back, leave a comment, let me know. Again, it's the 6-piece Inna set, including the Daibo, because you're going to sacrifice the belt and give up the belt in favor of Kiyoshiro's Soul, so that you can always have your Sweeping Wind active to always get your 2-piece Sun Wuko buff, and you want to be using the Sun Wuko shoulders with the Sun Wuko amulet. Um, and then just play around and enjoy. So until the next video.